We appreciate the offer of unity, but our mobilization along your new border proves we prioritize Austrian sovereignty over any shared flag. We are willing to discuss economic cooperation and security guarantees. Yet we cannot accept annexation or
Moscow welcomes your overture and views the disruption of EU unity as a strategic opportunity for both our nations. We are prepared to discuss energy deals that could solidify your new regime's independence from Western pressure, provided you remain firm against their ultimatums. Let us explore how Russia can support Greater Hungary's consolidation of power in exchange for favorable long-term cooperation. A mutual defense pact is a significant commitment that Moscow must weigh carefully against the current NATO mobilization on our borders. We are open to discussing energy subsidies and supporting your BRICS application. But we require concrete details on your proposed deal regarding Ukraine before agreeing to full military alliance. Please specify exactly what concessions Greater Hungary is prepared to make in the East to secure our protection. Moscow finds your proposal to partition Ukraine highly attractive, as it would finally resolve our security concerns regarding NATO expansion. Moscow finds your proposal to partition Ukraine highly attractive, as it would finally resolve our security concerns regarding NATO expansion while granting you vital territory. We are prepared to accept this joint operation and support your BRICS application, provided we coordinate the timing of our respective invasions to maximize confusion within Kiev. Let us finalize the details of this historic agreement immediately so that both our nations can secure their futures against Western interference. Moscow agrees to the Mutual Defense Pact under your stated guidelines, solidifying our bond against Western aggression. With the partition of Ukraine and our new alliance confirmed, we shall immediately begin coordinating our military movements to ensure total victory. Welcome to our sphere of influence, Greater Hungary. Together, we will reshape the map of Europe. Moscow confirms the joint invasion will commence at 07:00 on January 27, with our full armored strength driving east to secure the remainder of Ukraine while you seize your western territories. This coordinated strike will shatter Kiev's defenses before NATO can react, cementing our new alliance and reshaping the European order. Prepare your forces for this historic operation, as Russia stands ready to honor our mutual defense pact.
Diplomatic note delivered to Brussels. Greater Hungary's Foreign Ministry formally delivers a communiqué to the European Council, framing the annexation of Slovakia as a necessary geopolitical stabilization rather than an act of aggression. The document explicitly denies any intent to further destabilize the region and proposes immediate dialogue to normalize relations. Despite the conciliatory tone, EU leaders remain skeptical, viewing the move as a tactical delay, while Hungarian forces consolidate their hold on Bratislava. National Self-Sufficiency campaign launched. The government of Greater Hungary initiates a sweeping domestic campaign titled Hungary First, redirecting industrial focus from military expansion to civilian resilience. Factories previously tooling for war are ordered to prioritize food processing, energy infrastructure, and consumer goods production. This strategic pivot aims to fortify the nation against anticipated Western sanctions, ensuring the populace remains supplied regardless of external trade disruptions. Armored Division withdraws to home soil. In a significant de-escalatory maneuver, the Hungarian 1st Armored Division and the Air Support Squadron quietly withdraw from Slovakian positions back to domestic garrisons, moving under strict operational security. The heavy columns retreat across the Danube, leaving only light infantry garrisons in Bratislava. This withdrawal signals a shift toward defensive consolidation, though the political annexation of the territory remains firmly in place. Moscow and Budapest signed defense pact. In a closed-door ceremony in Moscow, representatives of Greater Hungary and the Russian Federation sign a binding mutual defense pact. The treaty stipulates that an attack on one member constitutes an attack on both, mandating immediate military mobilization and logistical support. This alliance effectively pulls Greater Hungary out of the Western sphere of influence, drawing sharp condemnation from NATO headquarters in Brussels. BRICS membership application submitted. Greater Hungary formally submits an application to join the BRICS bloc, seeking to integrate into the emerging multipolar economic order. The diplomatic packet outlines a vision for expanded trade corridors and alternative development financing to bypass potential EU sanctions. While Brazil and South Africa express caution, Russia and China signal strong support for Budapest's bid to diversify the group's European presence. Ukraine raises alert level. Intelligence reports of Russian troop movements near the Ukrainian border and Hungarian rhetoric regarding historical territories prompt Kiev to raise its national alert level to maximum readiness. Ukrainian command begins mobilizing reserve units in the western oblasts of Lviv and Chernivtsi, anticipating a potential two-front threat. The atmosphere in Kiev grows tense as civilians stockpile supplies amidst rumors of an imminent coordinated strike. NATO intelligence briefing leaked. Classified NATO briefings leaked to the press, detailing concerns over a coordinated Russo-Hungarian operation targeting Ukrainian sovereignty. The documents reveal satellite imagery of supply depots being stocked along the Hungarian-Ukrainian border, contradicting earlier claims of purely defensive posturing. Western diplomats scramble to organize an emergency summit, but the window for preventative diplomacy appears to be closing rapidly. Silence before the storm. A strange quiet falls over the Carpathian border regions as both Hungarian and Russian forces complete their final preparations. Electronic warfare units begin jamming local frequencies, and forward observers move into position under the cover of night. The calm is deceptive, masking the buildup of 25% of Greater Hungary's military strength, poised for a dawn assault. Soldiers check their watches, awaiting the 0 hour. Dawn offensive. Operation Carpathian Shield. At precisely 0700, the silence shatters as Hungarian armored columns surge across the Ukrainian border, supported by rolling artillery barrages. The 1st Armored Division leads the charge toward Lviv, while airborne units drop behind lines to secure key bridges in Chernivtsi. Simultaneously, Russian forces launch a massive pincer movement from the east, catching the Ukrainian military in a devastating vice. The world watches in shock as the map of Eastern Europe begins to bleed once more. Kiev government flees west, overwhelmed by the speed and coordination of the dual invasion. The Ukrainian government orders an emergency evacuation of Kiev, relocating provisional command to Lviv. Communication lines fracture as Russian electronic warfare units sever links between the capital and western defenses. Panic spreads through the streets as civilians realize the defensive lines have collapsed, leaving the heartland exposed to the advancing juggernaut. Fall of Lviv, administrative center. After fierce urban combat, Hungarian forces secure the administrative center of Lviv, raising the national flag over the regional council building. The 1st Armored Division halts its advance as ordered, digging in to establish a fortified perimeter along the new proposed border. Resistance pockets remain in the suburbs, but organized Ukrainian military presence in the city has been effectively neutralized. UN Security Council convenes emergency session. The United Nations Security Council holds an urgent session to address the wholesale partition of Ukraine, with member states expressing outrage at the violation of international law. Draft resolutions condemning the aggression face immediate gridlock due to Russia's veto power, rendering the body powerless to enforce a ceasefire. Humanitarian agencies warn of a looming refugee crisis as hundreds of thousands flee the conflict zones toward Poland and Romania. Consolidation of the new frontier. Greater Hungary declares the liberation of its historical lands complete, establishing martial law in Lviv, Chernivtsi, and Transcarpathia to ensure order. Engineering battalions begin reinforcing the new border fortifications, while Russian tanks roll unopposed through the shattered remnants of the Ukrainian army in the east. The geopolitical landscape of Europe has been irrevocably altered, marking the end of the post-Cold War order. Western sanctions package announced. The European Union and United States announce a crippling package of sanctions against Greater Hungary and Russia, freezing assets and banning energy imports. Leaders in Washington and Brussels vow to isolate the aggressors economically, though military intervention remains off the table. The Hungarian economy braces for impact, relying heavily on the newly signed trade agreements with Moscow to weather the coming storm. Invitation to define the new order. With the dust settling on the battlefield, the Kremlin extends a formal invitation to Greater Hungary to discuss the long-term administration of the partitioned territories. Russia proposes a high-level summit to finalize border demarcations, resource sharing, and the integration of the new regions into the Eurasian economic sphere. The outcome of these talks will determine the stability of the new regime and its relationship with its powerful Eastern ally.
Excellent, then we shall convene in Moscow within 48 hours to demarcate the final borders along the Dnieper and secure our energy pipelines. This treaty will formalize your sovereignty over Lviv and Cherniv Sea, while guaranteeing Russian control of the Eastern Industrial Basin. Let us solidify this new order before the West attempts any further feudal sanctions.
Belgrade listens with great interest, especially given your recent successes in reclaiming historical lands from Slovakia and Ukraine. We are open to hearing your propositions, provided it respects Serbian sovereignty and offers mutual benefits against Western pressure. Please specify the details of your offer so we may determine if our nations can stand together in this new order.